In the latest season of Jurassic World, a new dinosaur was introduced to the franchise that had never been seen before. It's a carnivorous dinosaur from the late Cretaceous period known as Spinosaurus. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the new dino and explore some recent discoveries that may just make it the king of the dinosaurs. Welcome to Paleologic. It's me, and today we're talking about Spinosaurus. As I mentioned in the intro, Spinosaurus is a newly introduced species to the Jurassic World franchise. However, this isn't the first time that the general public has been introduced to this dino. You see, Spinosaurus actually made its first appearance in Jurassic Park 3 back in 2001, and yes, despite its name, it was actually classified as a saurian, which is the family of dinos that includes both the Spinosaurus and the Carcharodontosaurus. This was an error made by the Jurassic Park franchise when they created the dino for the film. They got the name wrong, but also combined aspects of several different dinosaurs to make one hybrid creature. The head and sail were based on a Stegosaurus, the body on a Carcharodontosaurus, and the claws on a Velociraptor. Now, in the latest season of Jurassic World, we see yet another iteration of Spinosaurus. And once again, this dino seems to be a combination of a few different dinosaurs. We see a bulky, short-armed Carcharodontosaur-like body with what appears to be a sail like the one on a megalodon. The head of this Spinosaurus seems to have been inspired by the skull of a Sarcosuchus. But where did they get these ideas? Well, it looks like the crew of Jurassic World took some inspiration from real life. So let's talk about the real Spinosaurus. Spinosaurs is a genus of carnivorous theropod dinosaurs that lived in what is now North Africa during the late Cretaceous period, around 98 to 91 million years ago. The name Spinosaurus means spine lizard, and this comes from the most notable feature on this dinosaur, its extremely long and tall neural spines, which ran down the length of its back. These spines are what give this dinosaur its sail, which is one of the most impressive structures in all of paleontology. In the past, scientists weren't really sure what to do with the sail. Some thought it was part of the skin, like maybe a big frill. Others thought it was made up of the extended ribs. But recently, thanks to some new fossil evidence, we now know exactly what the structure of the sail was. A paper published in 2020 by David Hone and his colleagues showed that the sail of Spinosaurus was formed by the extension of the dorsal vertebrae, specifically the neural spines. Now, these neural spines are the bony plates that run down the back of every vertebrate, including ours. They normally don't extend much past the vertebral body, but in the case of Spinosaurs, they grew outwards and upwards, creating this huge sail structure. Hone and his team reached this conclusion by studying a fossilized specimen of Spinosaurus, nicknamed Mark Michelli, that was collected in 2001 from the Moroccan Sahara. The research team used high-resolution computed tomography scanning to look inside the preserved skeleton without having to actually dig into the bones. This allowed them to study the internal structure of the sail and determine what it was made of. What they found was that the sail was formed by the neural spines of the dorsal vertebrae. These neural spines had thick cartilage on their inner surface, which would have helped support the structure. The spines also had large openings or foramina on their outer surfaces. These would have allowed blood vessels and nerves to pass through, suggesting that the sail was not just a simple bony structure, but was instead a complex organ with a rich blood supply. The team believes that the sail may have served a variety of functions, such as display, thermoregulation, and possibly even sensory reception. More research is needed to determine the exact purpose of the sail, but what we can say is that it was an important part of the Spinosaurus anatomy. But the story doesn't end there. Another recent discovery has shed light on the Spinosaurus sail. According to a press release published by the Royal Society, researchers from the University of Alberta recently discovered a huge blood vessel that ran up the middle of the dinosaur's spine. This blood vessel, called the vertebral artery, is the largest artery in the body and is responsible for supplying blood to the brain. The researchers believe that the presence of this large artery suggests that the sail may have been used for more than just display and thermoregulation. It may have also played a role in feeding. The researchers believe that the sail may have helped to pump blood from the heart to the brain, allowing the dinosaur to grow to gigantic proportions. Now, while we're on the topic of size, let's talk about how big Spinosaurus really was. For a long time, it was believed that Spinosaurus was the largest of the carnivorous theropods, reaching lengths of over 15 meters and weighing more than 20 tons. However, more recent estimates suggest that Spinosaurus was actually smaller than previously thought. In 2017, paleontologist Dr. Nizar Ibrahim and his colleagues published a paper in the Journal of Vertebrate Paleontology that re-estimated the size of Spinosaurus. Using a new method of measuring dinosaur growth, Dr. Ibrahim and his team estimated that the maximum length of Spinosaurus was around 12.4 meters and that the average adult was around 11.6 meters long. They also estimated that the average weight of an adult Spinosaurus was around 11.5 tons. So basically, despite what's shown in Jurassic World, the actual size of Spinosaurus is more similar to that of the Tyrannosaurus rex than anything else. When it comes to the diet of Spinosaurus, we know that it was a carnivore, but we don't know exactly what it ate. The consensus among paleontologists is that Spinosaurus was a specialized fish eater. This is evidenced by the shape of its teeth, which are long, slender, and pointed, much like those of a swordfish. These teeth are perfectly adapted for catching and tearing up flesh, but they're not good for crushing bones. This suggests that Spinosaurus preferred to eat fish rather than other dinosaurs. In fact, researchers believe that Spinosaurus may have been able to swim underwater and chase down its prey. The researchers came to this conclusion by studying the shape of the dinosaur's skull and the orientation of its nostrils. They found that the nostrils were positioned at the top of the skull, which would have allowed the dinosaur to breathe air while swimming underwater. This is similar to the way that modern crocodiles and turtles breathe while submerged. Okay, so now that we've talked about the size, the sail, and the diet of Spinosaurus, let's chat about its behavior. Spinosaurus was likely an apex predator in its ecosystem, but unlike the T-Rex, which was a true tyrant, Spinosaurus was more of a gentle giant. There's evidence that suggests that Spinosaurus was more active during the day, while most of its prey was active at night. This meant that Spinosaurus had to be extra careful when hunting, as it was much more vulnerable to being seen by its prey. To compensate for this, Spinosaurus would have had to rely on stealth and cunning in order to ambush its prey. Unlike the T-Rex, which relied on its size and strength to overpower its prey, Spinosaurus would have had to be much more careful when attacking. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your fellow paleo lovers. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Paleologic to stay up to date on all things dinosaurs. Thanks again for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.